Over 100 Russian spies pretending to be diplomats have been expelled from the United States and 24 other Western countries in response to Vladimir Putin's poisoning of a former spy and his daughter in Salisbury, Britain. In an angry response to the expulsions, Putin said, quote, "I didn't poison those people, and anyone who says I did is going to get a dose of plutonium in their tea. After all, I am a murderous thug, and so if anyone calls me a murderous thug, I will murder them. That's how the whole murderous thug thing works," unquote. Putin went on to say that as an independent sovereign nation, Russia had the right to kill anyone it wanted. Media reaction to the expulsions was mixed. The New York Times, a former newspaper, said Trump did the right thing by expelling the Russians, but he should have also put his thumbs in his ears and waggled his fingers at Putin because presidential rhetoric matters. CNN said Trump's tough line on Russia just proved Trump can't be trusted, since everyone knows Trump is a Russian pawn and he's supposed to be nice to the Russians, but now has betrayed them. Don Lemon was not available for comment because he had crawled under his desk to retrieve a penny dropped and couldn't find his way out. Meanwhile, Stormy Daniels continues to have large breasts. So let's get back to talking about her. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
Hooray, hurrah. It's mailbag day tomorrow, and you know the drill by this time. You should know the drill. If you are a subscriber, you come on over to thedailywire.com. If you're not a subscriber, come on over to thedailywire.com and subscribe. Lousy $10 a month, and you can ask questions in the mailbag about anything you want. My answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life. For a few of you, it will change your life for the better. Go to thedailywire.com, hit the podcast button, go to the Andrew Klavan podcast, then hit the mailbag button and just type in your questions. Anything you want to ask, I will answer. Get your questions in now. Subscribe. And if you subscribe for a year, not only will we solve all your problems, but we will give you the Leftist Tears tumbler, which you can drink in your new joy. In your new joy, you can not only be joyful, you can also drink Leftist Tears from your tumbler. And also, we have a guest today, Obianuju Ekeocha, who is I guess I will call her a pro-life warrior. She is fighting against abortion imperialism, the West's push to bring abortion and hypersexuality to Africa. A really interesting interview. Meanwhile, we should talk about the Freedom Project Academy, because if you have kids and if you have started to check out schools, you know that schools are not what they used to be. They weren't even what they used to be when they used to be that. And even before that, some of them weren't what they should have been. But so American schools, you used to get civics. You used to be taught why America believed what it believed, why it was a great country, why we had Judeo-Christian values, classics, all those things. But they don't do it anymore. So the Freedom Project Academy delivers a fully accredited Judeo-Christian classical online school for kindergarten through high school. This is an incredible interactive education where students attend live classes every day with teachers and fellow classmates from across the country. Freedom Project Academy, the FPA, doesn't accept a penny of government funding, which allows them to stay committed to teaching students how to think, not what to think. Families can enroll students full-time or just start with a single class. It's entirely up to you. Here's what you do. Go to freedomforschool.com and request your free information packet from Freedom Project Academy. Enrollment ends in July, but classes fill up fast. Go to freedomforschool.com. Get a free information packet, freedomforschool.com, and don't forget, please, to tell them that I sent you so they come back, and then you can come back because I'll still be here. There's one thing I really want to point out about these Russian expulsions. It's very Cold War stuff that totally deserve, completely the right thing to do. They should do more of this stuff, especially strangling the money that the oligarchs, Putin's kind of pawns, who he's made rich by giving the riches of the country to these oligarchs. He's made them wealthy, but they don't want to spend it in Russia because it's a crummy country. So they come to Europe, they come to America to spend their money. We should also cut off that possibility, limit their travel, all those things. But this is still a good thing to have done. And it feels like real Cold War stuff. But here's the thing. It's not the Cold War. Why? Because Russia has no ideology. Russia doesn't believe in anything. Putin just wants his power back. He just wants to be a big player on the world stage again. And both George W. Bush and Obama were pushovers. And so he's expanded his power, even though all he's got is gasoline. It's all he's got to support himself. He hasn't got big industries. He hasn't got a creative country. He's just got the gas. Somebody said the other day, it's a gas station with nuclear weapons. And this is what, Putin is just trying to establish. He's just trying to show that he can push anybody around because that's where his prestige comes from. But the real question, the thing that really got me, is the fact in the old days, we could fight the Russian ideology of communism, or as Bernie Sanders would call it, socialism. We could fight it with an ideology of freedom. We said we don't have an ism, we just have freedom and liberty to talk things out and solve them among ourselves, each person a free individual, each person free from the state. My question is, Russia doesn't have its ideology anymore. Does America have its ideology? When Donald Trump says America first, is he talking about anything more than what Vladimir Putin is talking about? Let me read you two things that caught my eye yesterday, because I really think these are amazing little stories, but they actually say something big. You know, remember Barack Obama? It's so hard to remember now that his political legacy has drifted away like radioactive dust after a nuclear war. But he was, whatever his name was, he was speaking at an engagement in Japan, and he was asked about these idiot kids who are out on the street trying to take away our constitutional right to bear arms. And he said, if I could organize effectively, then, quote, I would create 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 young Barack Obamas or Michelle Obamas, or the next group of people who could take that baton in that relay race that is human progress. A lot of our problems are caused by old men. No offense, men who are old. Well, I do take offense, and screw you, you obnoxious blot of corruption. No offense, obnoxious blots who are corrupt. But here's the thing. So the problem is everybody is not Barack Obama. That's the problem. And not only that, there's actually news being distributed that Barack Obama doesn't agree with. It's amazing. Listen to him talk about this.
There's a viciousness to politics and a polarization of very sharp lines that are drawn. That make it more difficult to govern. And some of the reason for that is, I think, because of information. It used to be that in the United States there were 3 television stations. Basically, everybody watched the same thing. Everybody got their news from the same sources. And so everybody had more or less a similar view of the world. But today, because of first cable television, and then now the internet, people have 500 channels to choose from, and they are able to find the news that fits their views instead of fitting their views to the news.
See, if only we had 1,000,000 little Barack Obamas, Barack Obama could deliver the news to Barack Obama, and then Barack Obama could share his opinion with Barack Obama, and that would be the perfect world. So that's one thing, one little story I wanted to point out. And the other is from the BBC, this headline. Here's the headline: Oxford men guilty of sexual exploitation on a massive scale. Let's show the picture of the Oxford men. Here they are. Here are the Oxford men: Khalid Hussein, Aladita Yousaf, Kamir Iqbal, Aled Hussein, Ramin Ahmed, Moinul Islam, and Kamran Khan. What are they teaching those Oxford men at the university? One wonders. That is what the BBC feels connects these men, is that they are all from Oxford. I'm surprised they didn't show them in their mortarboard hats with their black gowns as they paraded into graduating from Oxford University. So I want to put these two stories together. Barack Obama represents a point of view. Now, it's come to be known as globalism, but I don't really like that term because the world is getting to be a global place. We understand that. That's not the question. The question is, are there going to be sovereign nations? And what rules is the globe going to follow? It really is expertism. It's the idea that Barack Obama knows. He used to say, I wish I could just gather together with my experts and solve all the problems, but I have to be responsible to these people who kept sending out news that disagrees with my news. What we need is millions and millions of little Barack Obamas talking to other Barack Obamas, doing Barack Obama things. It's expertism. It's elite expertism. That is the worldview that he represents. And this worldview basically says to you, your God doesn't exist. Men are not men and women are not women. All these rights you heard about, that's just a fiction. It's just a convenient fiction. You don't need a job. We'll give you money. Everything is fine. You don't have any free will anyway. You just take these drugs and now you'll feel happier. Those are what the experts are telling you. And so they can't understand why those aren't Oxford men. And so they let millions of them sweep into Europe and they couldn't what's the problem? We understand that this is a global world. We all have to get along together. So if I send in, 10,000 Muslim men from Syria into a city of 3,000 people, they're just Oxford men. They're from Oxford. They're Oxford men. It's all fine. That is the world that the people answered with Donald Trump and other people who are far, far to the right of Donald Trump in Europe. That was the people's answer was Donald Trump. And so what does that mean, right? They've sent this man here, this Donald Trump, and all we've heard since then is absolute rage, right? We heard Russia, like I said yesterday, we heard Russia, and then Russia didn't work. In fact, it turned out that it was Obama who was corrupt. Well, that's no good. Well, here's Stormy Daniels. Look, she has enormous breasts, and she slept and she spanked. I mean, the reason I love talking about Stormy Daniels is because she spanked Donald Trump with a magazine with his face on it, which seems to me a perfect symbol of Western culture at this moment. But it's anything to keep from hearing the voice of the people. Now, we're going to get back to this in a minute, but first I have to talk about, if you want to spread the word of the voice of the people, you need stamps, right? Because sometimes you got to still send things through the post office. The post office is great. I never want to say anything against the post office because I've lived off the post office my entire life. But like everything else, you want the post office in your computer. And that's why you go to stamps.com. Stamps.com will let you access all the amazing services of the post office right from your desk 24/7 when it's convenient to you. You don't have to wait for the post office to be open. You don't have to go there. You can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package using your own computer and printer, and the mail carrier picks it up. Just click print mail. You are done. I personally like it because I like to watch the envelope go in and come out with a stamp on it. I'm a simple man, like, cool, that's cool. All right, right now, you can get a special offer from stamps.com. It includes up to $55. This is a new offer. I didn't see this before. It's $55 in free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. That's a good offer. Here's how you get it. Go to stamps.com, click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Klavan. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sure, $55 in postage, but how do you spell Klavan? Klavan. No ease. There is you can never relax when you're spelling Klavan because there is no ease in Klavan. Stamps.com, enter Klavan, up to $55 in free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial, plus the entire post office in your computer. So let's take a look at this Stormy Daniels thing. And like I said, most of the Stormy Daniels thing I like because it's hilarious, it's just really funny. But there was a big audience for the CNN thing, and they're bragging about it. Like, yes, we got so far down in the dirt that people showed up to watch Anderson Cooper stand on his head in a pile of crap. That's why people showed up. I tweeted out yesterday, if Stormy Daniels had done it naked, twice as many people would have shown up, and it still would have been trash, okay? But on the right, too, they're saying, oh, this is it. The Wall Street Journal had an editorial today saying, this could be the beginning of the end. This is just shows that he brings this misery on himself. A lot of never-Trumpers are talking about this. And they're saying it's hypocritical of the right not to criticize Trump for sexual things when we've been yelling about the Clinton who was accused of rape, Ted Kennedy who left his mistress to die in a sinking car, Anthony Weiner who showed his pictures to underage girls. Somehow that's the same as this billionaire playboy being a billionaire playboy. I don't think it is, but still, okay, they're very upset about our hypocrisy. So while we're talking about hypocrisy, I have to show you this, and this is from our pals at Newsbusters. We love this site, and they just two great montages. First, let's take CNN. This is before the 60 Minutes interview. Stormy Daniels sent out a tweet against Trump, and this is the reaction of a CNN panel talking about this porn star who says she had an affair with the president before he was president.
So I think the president has met his match in Stormy Daniels. They're pretty similar. They know how to use the media. They're not afraid to do it. She's got a new lawyer who's all about the publicity, getting on television. They're promoting this interview that she's doing on 60 Minutes.
I think that this is one of the few stories in the Trump era that has actually stuck for several weeks now, and in part because I think Stormy Daniels and her lawyer have been very savvy in the way that they've kept this alive by offering these little breadcrumbs.
It's a political nightmare right now for the president, potentially, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and we should just stop for a second and think about what we're talking about. We're talking about hush money paid to a pornographic actress. We're talking about intimidation to try to prevent a pornographic actress from actually going out and talking about her relationship with the president. We're talking about other women right now who are saying that actions were taken to prevent them from telling their story about their relationship with the president. If this was any other president, they would be gone. They would be thrown out of the White House.
Okay, so here's a woman. He says any other president would be gone for a relationship he had with a porn star, one night stand. He had a consensual relationship, which she says was a consensual relationship, before he became president. Now, here is a montage of the news reaction when Bill Clinton, who was president, was exposed for not only having an affair in the Oval Office, but was accused by Paula Jones of sexual harassment, was accused by Kathleen Willey, I think it's pronounced, of chasing her around the Oval Office and grabbing at her, was accused by Juanita Broaddrick of a brutal and bloody rape. Here is your news media at work covering those stories back in the day.
Some sleazy woman with big hair coming out of the trailer
No, wait a
park.
minute.
I think she's a dubious witness. I really do.
We've got an awful lot to talk about this week, including the sexual harassment suit against the president. Of course, in that one, it's tough to figure out who's really being harassed.
Sam not trying to hurt the president? Does she say that with a straight face? Why does anyone care what this woman has to say? But bottom line, Sam, is she not trying to capitalize on this, in effect, to profit from impugning the president?
I have to profess complete confusion over this entire case, why this is even a case. If any man, I don't care who he is, invites me to a room and pulls his pants down and asks me to do something, he's going to have a decided limp from that day on, and I go on with my life. I don't need to sue anyone. It doesn't traumatize me. I don't understand why this is even a case to begin with.
The story doesn't deserve to be dignified by being broadcast and displayed. What I find fascinating about this case is that we've sunk so low now that a charge of this magnitude can be leveled against the President of the United States with next to no evidence at all. I think that's outrageous.
I was reading either in Time or Newsweek that even the woman herself, Juanita Broaddrick, said she hoped that this thing went away this week. And even she was sick of hearing about it. It's her story. But.
Well, let's hope she gets her way with that.
Are we going to look back on this time 100 years from now the way we look back on Salem? We're reaching the point where we're going to wind up with government by goody-goodies, government by people who have done nothing in their life except walk the straight and narrow, who have no creative thoughts. We're going to look back on this 100 years from now and say we drove some of our best people out of politics.
I wonder what Joe Klein is thinking now. That was Dan Rather talking to Don Imus. Yeah, I hope she gets her wish and she goes away, and I hope it all goes away. When they're talking about the hypocrisy of the people, maybe some of the people are hypocrites. I never went after Bill Clinton for his sexual affair, so I feel like I'm on solid ground. But you know what? I don't care whether the people who support Trump are hypocrites, and I'll tell you why. They're trying to tell you something. They sent an admittedly flawed man, like all of us are flawed men and women. They sent a flawed man to the White House because they couldn't get your damned attention, you million little Barack Obamas all talking to each other. They couldn't get your attention. You would not listen to them. And now, they say they especially pick on the evangelicals because the evangelicals have traditionally been very anti, sexual malfeasance, and they have taken this out on political figures. And now they're not taking it out. And yet there's some hypocrisy. CNN interviewed a group of women, I think, evangelical women, and asked them about this Stormy Daniels interview. A lot of them said, well, I don't believe her. I believe her. I believe they had sex. Like I said, the guy was a billionaire playboy. If he didn't have sex with her, he's going to have to explain why to the board of the Billionaire Playboys Club. But I believe, but they also said some other things that struck me as totally sensible and totally realistic, and also a way of just trying to get you to hear what they wanted to say. Let's play a little bit of this.
This is the media defining the narrative. We the people, are ready to define the narrative. And it's not about tawdry sexual peccadillos.
In order for somebody to come forward, you can be pushed by somebody else. Correct. Right? And so I think the thing is you're looking for a way to impeach my president that I worked very hard for.
I'm asking you about a Stormy Daniels interview on 60 Minutes, period. That's it.
And about that so-called hush money, these women don't see Trump's fingerprints on it, only his lawyer, Michael Cohen's.
Maybe he thought he was just doing a favor to try to quash some negativity.
Right when they were starting the campaign.
Even though it didn't even happen, just to get rid of this story that's not even true.
Which would also follow suit that non-disclosure was unsigned, because Trump may not have known about it at all.
Worst case scenario, if he slept with her, whatever, that's between him, the Lord, and his family. Exactly. That is not about the job he's doing in running our country, in which he's doing an amazing job.
There is a narrative going around among the elites on both the left and the right that goes like this. The Enlightenment, which is this vague phrase that they use, I don't even think they fully understand how the Enlightenment worked or what a complex tapestry it was of ideas and thoughts and interactions and actions. But they say the Enlightenment has it has been the rule of experts, of scientists, of brilliant minds. We've given you longer life. We've given you iPhones. We've given you a better health, more food, more wealth. Everybody's richer. Look how well we've done. But you ungrateful people, you ungrateful human beings, you have turned away and you want to go back. And the word they keep using is tribalism. You want to go back to your tribe. You want to get away from this beautiful global world we made and go back to this whole nationalistic America first thing. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? As I said at the beginning, these people do not get it. I mean, depression is on the rise. Suicide is on the rise. And what they keep telling us is everything you thought, everything you cared about, everything that gave your life meaning does not matter. Your God, the Enlightenment took us away from God, which, by the way, isn't true, but never mind. The Enlightenment took us away from God. Now, we don't want to go back there. We don't want to go back to nation states. What's wrong with you, So all right, so you're out of work. But somebody in Kuala Lumpur now has a job, so, suck it up. So take some opiates and you'll feel much better. You don't exist anyway. You're just a machine. So if you put these chemicals in, you'll feel so much better. And, when the people speak, it is inarticulate because there's millions of us. We don't speak with one voice. We can't speak clearly. That is why we have spokesmen. That's why people come out and speak for us. We elect people to speak for us. Trump is, like I said, he's a flawed guy. But he's the way the people are telling these elites, these millions of Barack Obamas, he's telling them when we say we want our country back, we say we want the American way back. We want all the logic that went into our freedoms, all the logic that went into our humanity, all the logic that went into our religion back because it was true, it was right. The experts didn't make America. America made way for the experts. The experts are living off the good of America, and that's what the people want back. You can attack Trump all you want, and some of your attacks are going to hit home because, like I said, he's a flawed guy. But maybe it would be a better idea to actually listen to what the people are trying to say, actually start scratching your pointy little Barack Obama heads and start thinking about what they were trying to tell. Why are they rejecting this beautiful, perfect world you made? Maybe because it's empty, maybe because it's meaningless, maybe because you're wrong. Maybe because your worldview is wrong. All right, we have got the wonderful, she's really one of my favorite people, even though I can't pronounce her name, but because nobody can. I call her Uju, that's her nickname, and I'm just crazy about her. She's written a book called Target Africa, Ideological Neocolonialism in the 21st Century. We're going to be talking about it, but first I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Come on over to thedailywire.com, subscribe, and then ask questions in the mailbag, and I'll solve all your problems for a lousy $10. What more do you want? Come on over.